What's up, everybody? Welcome to It's the Godfreys podcast with Jake. So, last week I did an episode. That episode's really in general, laying the foundation of my story in life, and hopefully sharing can help others. But I was real general. There's a whole lot more to the story, obviously, but it's not about me. It's about all of us together. So, there's going to be guests coming in that we're going to talk to each week, and we're going to share. So, and this week, what we're going to try to focus on, is three main topics. We're going to focus on having a purpose, going through the storm or adversity in your life, and we're going to touch on opening a business. So I'm excited to sit down with a good friend of mine. This week, we're going to chat it up with my buddy Jason Keaton, so stay tuned. Going down.
Godfreeds, Godfried.
Godfrey with the Godfreys.
Godfried with the Godfreeds.
Godfrey with the Godfreys. Get free with
got
the Godfrey.
free. We got free.
Got freed
through the Godfreys.
through.
Man, he helps you with the.
So, okay. So we rolling?
We are.
Have we been capturing all this?
Yeah.
Man, this is beautiful. You guys, you're going to have beautiful stuff from this. Are you kidding me?
It's gonna be.
Come
nice.
on. Like the jingle, you can probably make the jingle out of what we just were talking about. There's your jingle. Okay. So we're going to go into, so now, basically we're going to stick to our purpose and going through the storm. So, my boy. All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of It's the Godfreys. It is going down. I've got my good buddy here, close friend, and entrepreneur and business owner, Jason Keaton. Y'all give it up for my boy in the background. Oh, yeah. Dang. No, man. This is crazy. Y'all calm down. Calm down. So anyway, man, I'm glad you could stop by, dude.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and it all started, literally, Jason and I bumped into each other at a restaurant the other night. One of the best restaurants in the world, by the way, Pearl and Vine, Katy, Texas. And over some oysters, he had mentioned something that he was thinking, man, I think he said something like, yeah, I've been thinking about doing podcasting or something. And I said, man, no way, dude.
Yeah.
That's what I've been, working on lately. And so, I was like, dude, you got to come to the studio.
Yeah, it's cool how what you're saying about purpose, because that's not only that's the third time that we ran into each other. We ran into each other early on in life, and it's weird how everything comes full circle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we ran into each other again through business, and then link up, and then now we're together. We're back together. You know what I mean? With the Simple Podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
No, that's crazy.
How God comes full circle.
No, it is. It's unbelievable. Yeah, Jason was one of my best customers at a restaurant that I owned back in the day, Vida Loca.
Vida Loca.
Baby. Boy, had some fun, boy. My man would always come get a bottle, boy.
Yeah.
He wasn't coming for the enchiladas.
That was before I had a purpose.
Yeah,
and I used to
right.
think that was my purpose.
That's right.
Was popping bottles. You know what I mean? Like that was what we thought was what made us successful, because we had no purpose. You know what I mean? We had no vision. So it's kind of cool now that we look back on those times. After we met for dinner, it was just cool to reminisce about where we used to be and then where we're at today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we both been, through that type of
that's right.
similar stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's really cool to
No, it is.
to think about that at that one time we're popping bottles and you're on stage and you think that you're the coolest thing
think
that's
you're
around,
cool.
but
Yeah.
that's not
No,
it.
that's what's crazy. No, when I was there, there was a time in the restaurant as the owner, was one of the owners of the restaurant, that I had a purpose. That's how that restaurant was built. I was clean, sober, driven family man with a purpose, and that's what gave birth to Vida Loca. And then through the time at Vida Loca, I went through a divorce, and I spoke on this in my first episode, but I lost my purpose. It went away. And that's why it's okay for folks to realize when we're preaching things about have a purpose, be somebody in life, be the best, that it's okay to realize you're not going to always have your purpose. You may lose it, and there's going to go through spells, especially when you're younger. But yeah, when I was first up there and everybody was up there popping bottles, I had a purpose. I was sitting there like a businessman focused on business. And then I ended up there popping bottles with the customers after the divorce. I'm up there turn into a drunken fool's what you do when you lose your purpose. So, but yeah, that's what we want to touch on today. Cause I know in my life, I know that I survived when I was young, going through a lot of stuff that I put on myself, being a runaway kid and stuff and not finishing school. So I put a lot of heartache and obstacles in my own way. And I had, as a kid, I still had a purpose. Like I was so competitive and I wanted to be the best at everything, right? And I wasn't a family man. So even though I had messed up and was a dumb butt by many standards, I did have a purpose, although maybe it wasn't a great grand purpose. And, and then later in life, I learned, when you get a family, you have kids, like it shouldn't be that hard to develop that purpose inside of you. Cause you just take one look at your kids or your wife and stuff. And even after divorce, they don't got to live with you. And a lot of us, as I told you, I went through a time to where, once my little boy moved out and went through the divorce thing, it broke me in half completely.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing is, lots of folks are going around and they're wondering why they're always in a bad mood, why they don't like their job.
Well, they're missing that one thing. And that one thing's their boy upstairs.
Yep, that's right.
You know what I mean? So
that's exactly
you're lost at the time. You don't know that. I never had it. So I had no, I had nowhere to focus. You know what I mean? I thought I didn't have no mentors. I didn't have anybody like that. I didn't have anybody that was telling me that, hey, you need to be in church or that you should try to be a godly man or whatever. I had nobody to show me that. I had to learn all that on my own, And I look back on it now and it was just, man, if I would have had just that bit of focus to have God in my life or to be around people that were godly people, my life would be, it would be completely different.
Yeah.
So, and I think that that's where we lose sight is it doesn't matter what you do, as long as your center and your base and your core is your boy JC, then that's everything else just becomes so much easier.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's not even so much that you need to have mentors or great people, which is always a bonus. It's that you need to have that foundation first, which is, you know what I mean? Which is Jesus and
that's right.
And God and just following those footsteps. That's where what we have to bring back to the young boys today, to your son, my son, those types of men that don't have, you know what I mean, that aren't lucky enough to, that way they don't have to go through what we went through. Yep. And we had to learn it on our own, you know what I mean? Right. So we put that out there into the world and give them that opportunity to be able to, to mentor to them and show them, hey, look, this is your foundation. Here's your concrete. Here's your foundation. Here's your, we're going to build off of this.
Yeah.
So I think that's where men like me and you, we didn't have men like me and you to, you know what I mean? That's wherever it's going to benefit these young generation today. Because half these kids now don't, you know what I mean? They don't have that in their life, you know?
No.
And we got to figure out a way to be able to put that back into their life.
No, I've heard it a lot lately. Lots of people say it, but how, tough times create tough men. And you create the cycle of guys that have been through tough times. All of a sudden you got tough guys, and then tough guys create easy times, which create soft men.
Yeah.
And then soft men create hard times, which then create the next generation of the, bad
just
asses.
a circle.
But yeah, and that's, like you said, the foundation, it's amazing how I'm in the foundation business, so I have to stare at that word every single day of my life.
Yeah.
And, but it's true. It's, you can't do anything without a solid foundation with God. Okay. And, I was talking to Ariel last night, as a matter of fact, after we left a Bible study, and we were having a discussion, and it was so cool. I don't know how it led into it, but, the story of life to me, the story of the universe and God's relationship with you is all summed up in one word, and it's love, man. Our story is a love story, and God's story with all of us is a love story. So you talk about, when it goes back to having a purpose and when you feel lost, you should realize how much you're loved. And I'll tell you, I'll explain it, but God's able to, when he does things in the Bible to help us relate, like Tim Ross did a great thing at church last week or 2 weeks ago about the wine, right? How he used a bottle of wine in the Bible so that it's relatable to everyone, understanding the difference from getting drunk on wine or getting drunk on the Holy Spirit, right? How getting drunk on a bottle of wine is going to change the way you act, the way you walk. Getting drunk on the Holy Spirit is going to change the way you act and walk too. Just two different versions. And so God, obviously the master of making sure everything's relatable. Well, the whole nucleus, the foundation of Christianity is he sent his only son to die for us.
Yeah.
Right? And so what is it? He could have chosen so many different ways. It could have been fire-breathing dragons and lightning bolts. He could have sent down, anything. He could have put his giant head out of the clouds and scared us all and told us the way you can get saved. But what did he decide to do? I mean, this is the all-knowing, there's no question that he knows the best way to do anything. What did he do? He sent his son to die. How many of us are willing to send our sons to die for other people?
Yeah.
So it's the story. So it's a love story, and that's where you get caught up. You got to simplify things because there's a lot of folks that know a lot more about the Bible and religion than me. I can promise you that.
Well, I think that's where what our purpose is being able to find a way to relate to the younger people. Because for me, I don't really relate to a suit and tie that's going to sit there and preach down my throat or tell me, even though he probably is a biblical scholar, you know what I mean? Like, and can just rattle off anything. And there's nothing to say that there's not, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But my purpose, I feel, is that, still being that godly of a man, but being able to relate to kids that is like me, that's not going to really relate to those type of people.
That's right.
That's going to relate to a guy that's been through what we've been through.
That's right.
You know what I mean? But has found that way and has got to a point in their life where they're being a godly man. And then you can relate to it because they're not going to relate to like a guy that's wearing a suit and tie. They want to relate to a guy that's going to put on some Travis Scotts.
Yeah.
It's going to wear a backwards hat, a chain, gold chain. You know what I mean? They want to be able to relate because they see that. It's just like with music or with anything that the kids do today.
Yeah.
They relate somehow and be able to attract themselves to that.
Right.
And that's where I feel that it's our jobs to be able to relate to those type, to find to find those kids, to find those people, to find those men, to be able to relate where they see us. They're like, man, I remember whenever you were sleeping on the couch selling phone books.
Yeah.
I remember whenever, you were selling drugs. I remember whenever you were doing this or doing that in the streets.
Damn, you listed all my previous jobs.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, you nailed it. We can't. The only people relatable to our youth cannot be artists and athletes, right? No. Whether it's rappers or country, I don't care what genre it is. But that can't be the only people that relate. And so you just nailed it. That there needs to be more people in our community, in our neighborhood, in our families, like us that step up and say, "Hey, we're different." Don't look at what we're doing now with our businesses and think we always had it easy and you can't do it. No, we want you to know we had it hard and we messed up and we made a lot of mistakes and you can do it. You can do what we did. So, no, I love that, dude, because that is what, everyone, you're not supposed to have a nice piece of jewelry like this unless I can rap or play football. But no, bull crap. You can look just like me and work hard. See, when I was a little kid, I had dreams to have things like that I would see my favorite guys, Primetime, Dion. That's still my favorite football player of all time. And, he'd have his chains on or something. And I dreamed of doing that one day and I worked hard for it. And my dad told me, if you want stuff like that, I'm not getting it for you. You got to go get it. And, just because you become 43 years old doesn't mean, I've missed that. It's too late for me to go. No. Your boy will go get it done. You need to enjoy your life. I don't care how old you get. Yeah. It is okay. And to do it for the right reason. See, when I get stuff, for me, buying gifts for friends or family or anything like that, man, it is something, I dreamed about that stuff, man, and I'm not letting go. Yeah. I watched the movies about Elvis Presley lining up Cadillacs, and your boy's done that, okay? I've done giving a car or two away, and I love that. And don't let go your dreams. And that's the other thing. So you look, they want to idolize the artist and athlete and stuff, and those guys are hot for 2 or 3 years. So what do you got to switch to a new idol?
Yeah.
Get you somebody in your neighborhood, get you somebody in your family, close. Us, we're willing to mentor.
too, yeah.
You reach out to us. We'll make sure you have an ability to do that.
Yeah, whenever I was younger, I had that's my misconception, because whenever I grew up, I always thought you had to have the big house, you had to have all the cars. That's what made you successful. Well, it wasn't until I had all those that I finally realized that, okay, where's the success that I'm supposed to feel? Mm-hmm. And then you don't feel it. And then you're like, okay, so now what's next? I got the big trucks, I got the big house, I got everything. Mm-hmm. Now, do I get double that? Is that now is that where it comes in? Then you go through a point where it's like, okay, none of that really matters. You're not it to the people that it doesn't matter to. You look successful, mm-hmm. and you feel that that's when you were younger. You feel that that's where your success, or where you were supposed to be successful. Mm-hmm. But once you have it, you finally get to a place in your life where now you want to do those things, wear the chain, have the nice cars. You want to do that because you want to do it. Mm-hmm. And it's not you're doing it for flex, or you're doing it for that.
Yeah.
You're doing it because you genuinely enjoy doing that stuff. And then the success is what the young men today, or what young women, they look up to, that is, and they're idolizing all these people, is that's what makes you successful. Mm-hmm. But once you get to a point where we've had those things, the success comes from giving back. Mm-hmm. The success comes from being able to buy somebody something because they had a bad day, mm-hmm. or you knew that your neighbor down the street kid couldn't play basketball mm-hmm. because they couldn't afford this, and you just simply do it out of the kindness of your heart. You know what I mean? Yep. Those are the types of things that I feel that make you successful.
Yeah.
When you're able to give back, and you don't have to do it. You just do it out of the kindness of your heart. That's where true success comes from. And I feel that that's where I finally got in life, where it's like, now I love having the nice things. I mean, mm-hmm. don't get me wrong, mm-hmm. but I do it because I truly, like, I enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
It's rewarding myself for my hard work.
Yeah.
But at the same time, nobody around me is ever going to want, you know what I mean? Like, if I win, you win.
Yeah.
We all win.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So, I feel that that's where kids today, we really need to focus on getting them to understand that all that stuff that you think makes you successful, you're still going to be there, and you'll be unhappy once you get it all. You know what I mean?
And I love when I take the time when, if I'm out in my Corvette or something and people come up and compliment or say something, man, I make sure I surprise them, because I don't just go, oh yeah, I appreciate it. I'm like, yeah, and you can do it too, because I started off rough, and you can do it. And they're like, what? And they get shocked that someone says something. So I use those things, as motivation too. Yeah. And you want to come on over and learn how you can do stuff. You can get anything that you want to get to. So, but yeah, I think the kids these days have definitely got to understand that through adversity is where you're going to get the best skills in your life, know. And I say kids, it's everyone that can hear my voice right now and see you and I talking. I said something the other night to someone that I love. I hope I can remember what I said, because man, it sounded good the other night, and it was something to the effect of, if you haven't been through, if you think you're going through the toughest time in your life right now, you think that nothing gets worse, I just ask you, close your eyes for a second and really be honest with yourself. Haven't you been through a tougher time in your life? Haven't you seen something tougher than this? Okay, I want you to ask yourself, because most of us right now that are down and out today, depressed today, making excuses today, you think this is it. This is where, close your eyes. Wasn't it worse at some point, and didn't you get through it? Mm-hmm. Did you? Then I got an answer. If you say, no, it's never been worse, well, guess what? Good news. You're at rock bottom. Yeah, so it can only get better.
And you've already survived all your worst days.
So it's, that's what eats us up, is the anxiety and the depression. And most of the time it's centered around things like finances. Mm-hmm. You got to just, if you're on a budget, the number one thing is getting groceries. Mm-hmm. You got to, all the material things can come and go. Yep. Can you get some groceries? Can you get some food? Because sometimes you got to just start right there. And people let bills and rent being late or a car note being late eat them alive and start taking away that purpose.
Mm-hmm. But missing that. They're missing that key thing every single time. They're missing God.
Yep.
You put your faith into Him and let Him handle the business. Let Him give all your faith to Him. He's going to take care of you. You know what I mean? He's going to bring you out of it. I mean, we're prime examples
Yeah.
as to, you know, how it is. And for me and my son were having this conversation last night. The same thing. It's just like, you know, you give your faith to him, and he's going to take care of you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
And you don't see it now, and maybe you don't see it because you're depressed or you're sad, or you won't see it now. But there's things that's going to happen, and it might be a month from now, or 2 months from now. But you're going to look at that time, and you're going to look back at that time that you didn't have faith, and go, "Damn, I should have had faith in him," or I should have just, you know, like I shouldn't have been so upset, or I shouldn't have been, you know, so depressed. Because once you get to a point in your life that you know that he takes total control, and you give it all to him, oh, it's easy
it's
from that
over.
point.
Game over.
Yeah, then you know that if you have a bad day, it's going to get better.
Exactly.
Every time it rains, it's going to sunshine. You know what I mean? And that's just how it works. And I think that everybody needs to take that approach, because too many people, I think that they just, you know, they think that whenever it rains, it's going to always rain.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? But you got to look and find that silver lining and know that, man, there's people around to help.
Yeah.
Because most men these days, they ain't going to ask for help. You wouldn't never ask for help. I would have never asked for help, you know? But it's okay to ask for help.
Oh, yeah.
Me and my son, we had that conversation. I told him, I was like, man, listen, it's okay to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't understand something, and this is in life in general,
Mm-hmm.
like it's okay to ask for help, you know? And that was one of the hardest things that I ever had to do, was to accept help, because I always wanted to do it on my own. I always thought that I had the answer.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
But the place that you go first to ask for help is upstairs. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
that's right.
And you pray to him, and he's going to open all the doors that he has to open for you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you might not see it right then and there, and it might not happen on your timing, and it might not happen right when you expect it. But you know what I mean? If you keep going, it'll happen for you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I feel that the two of us, and you know, I speak for the both of us, but I feel that we're prime examples of at that time we never knew. Like if we would have put faith in it at that time, you know what I mean? And now we look at ourselves and we're like, okay, cool. Man, we should have had faith back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now we found our purpose in life, which is, for me, is wanting to give back.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
And however that looks.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be monetary.
Yeah.
It can just be, you know, emotionally. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Just finding somebody or something that you can motivate or lift up, or just like, here, take my hand, I got you. You know what I mean? Or
Exactly.
I can steer you the right direction. You know what I mean? So
No, that's where you nailed it again. But that's where that leads us into where we were going to go over going through the storm, and where, you know, I've said before and I'll say again that you're not going to find out about yourself or your relationship to God until you're in the storm, right? Because, you know, God never leaves your side. Even when times are good, he's there. When times are bad, there. But us human beings, we don't seem to notice him until times are bad, right? But that's when you find out about yourself and your relationship to God, when you're going through the most adversity, when you're going through the storm of your life, when things are bad. It's not when you get the new job. It's not when you started getting more a better pay at work. You hit the lotto, and all of a sudden your relationship to God is better than ever. You're a billionaire now. First thing you're going to do is go to church with your billions, right? You know, so it's those dark times and those, you know, true test of your life. The saddest times, depression, drunkenness, anxiety, that's when he's right there and even closer than ever. You know, it's through the storm that you really find out about yourself and your true relationship to God. That's when it happens, bro. And so that's the thing where I always, you know, I don't wish bad things on anyone, obviously, but I know from experience that when I see someone going through a rough spell, I just know that that's when you're on to something. You're on to something. Because also God will make things uncomfortable that are in your life that aren't supposed to be in your life anymore. So sometimes you think it's the end of the world and you're stressing about stuff, and it's that you've already made a change inside. You're already heading the right direction. The devil wants you to stay where you are. So sometimes those mixed feelings and confusion and not knowing is you're feeling, like I said in another video, you're feeling the forces against you. It's just like the haters in the bushes, baby. Once they start shaking, you know, they start to come out. But no, that's when And I know it's tough when you're in. It's easy for guys like us to sit here and say we went through this, and in our darkest times, God came through the clouds and saved us, and this, that. We could say all that. People are gonna have to go through it and experience it. But maybe we can touch somebody by sharing this, and that's my whole point to this. Is I told you when you first got here, these guys know, the 2 people watching the podcast know that this all started with me buying ad time.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to come in here and buy commercials. Miguel and Jesus were going to help me make ads, and we're going to, push Lincoln Jacob Foundation. And then something spoke to me. I just always knew with my path and my journey in life, there's more to it. And I knew all the abilities God gave me to kick butt at work, to open businesses, to be the best at everything. It's not meant for my whole life to make money. It's not meant to open businesses. He gave me those gifts for a different reason. And I've always known that, and it's been on my heart. And that's where it was literally the days I was thinking about calling these guys and coming up to the studio that I said, no, you know what, Jake, if you can afford to pay for videos and things to get pushed out to the public, didn't you always dream of doing something for people? So instead, because I always dreamed, and I still want to do these things, and I'm still going to do these things, that to build schools, different kind of school, my kind of school, whether it's a homeless center, build churches, build places that people can go to get some of the training and not training when it comes to good old textbook training that we got these days. Is no real life training, real life education. And the best training is your attitude. I want to open places to help people with their attitude one day, and I will. But I thought, you know what, Jake, you don't got to wait till you got $10 million to build something in Katy that helps people.
Right.
You could help people right now by going behind the microphone. And that's where I said, quit making excuses, even for myself. As good as things are going in my life right now, with my number one's my family and my relationship to God. As great as that is, which you can never hurt your relationship to God. As great as that is, I want to challenge myself, dude. What am I supposed to do? Just keep doing more foundation jobs? Keep stacking up more money? No. That's not what I'm here for. He pulled me through all those tough times and gave me all those supernatural abilities for something greater. But even myself, as great as I think I am at overcoming and making goals and going after it, I kept telling myself, yeah, you're going to build something. You're going to help kids. You're going to build something and help people. That you're going to spread your message. It's just like the old write a book, right? How many of us have said, I'm going to write a book one day. I'm going to write a book. I said that too. You know what I decided to start doing? Was videotaping and making the book.
Yeah, this is the
book. The book
now.
is here. You're in chapter 1.
Yeah,
welcome.
There you go. So when you, I was going to ask you because because from where you came from, you came through adversity, and most men, they have that oh shit moment, right? That wow moment.
Yeah.
Like that where it clicks. You just know.
Yeah.
When was yours? Like,
mine was locked up in
when was the time that you actually, that you were just going through your shit and all of a sudden you said, I'm not doing this again?
Yeah. No, I think we'll see. I had an interesting story because when I was a youngster, I was locked up for a good little bit of time, okay? I was in there. I was sentenced to do 12 months incarceration. Mm-hmm. And that was really the first time I'd been locked up. I didn't go in and out and all. No, when I was put in there, I got to start off with a year. Well, towards the end, I built my relationship with God while I was in there, which is easy for everybody. They call it a jailhouse Christian.
Right.
That's as soon as you even go to jail, and hopefully most of you listening don't have to ever go to jail. Some of you that have been to jail will know this. But as soon as you get in there and you pick up a Bible, they start calling you a jailhouse Christian, okay? Mm-hmm. And now there are a lot of jailhouse Christians that go in there and only pick up that Bible for protection. People literally think you pick it up and you won't get beat up. Some people just hold it not to get beat up. And then some people read it until they call your name to leave and close it up for the rest of their life. Well, little old me had a good old 12 months to think about stuff. And so I got into the Bible. I got my relationship with God, obviously, closer and closer. And the true test, this is when the moment happened, brother. When it was time to go home after that 12 months. I think it was the week before Thanksgiving. So my whole family's like, finally, Jake's coming home. I thought I was going home. Well, excuse me, they called me to night court a few days before release date.
Right.
Go to night court and I find out they got something else they're going to put on me. And 16 more months, which back then was time and a half, so 8 months.
Yeah.
And I signed that night because they said, it's either that or we're going to send you to TDC for 2.5 years. And I tried to explain, like, no, I've changed my life. I'm a kid. I'm
Yeah.
19 years old. I've been in here a year of your life. I'm better now, Mr. DA, Mr. Judge. I'm better. I didn't even get a chance to show the world I'm better, right? Boom, sign, go. I go back to my tank, tell the boys. They're like, what the heck was that? What the hell? I was like, I'm in here 8 more months. Man, there was a few moments that I did feel the weight of the world, and I was tested. There was a few moments that I was tested if I was going to give up on God's plan, and if I was going to give up on everything I built myself up to believe. And then an amazing joy came over me, bro. I kid you not. That was the moment. For some reason in that time, when I just found that kind of news out, I had the biggest relief I've ever felt in my life. And I knew that was just the way it was supposed to be.
Right.
So you were supposed to do that extra little time, and you're going to come out even badder than ever. You are going to be the best of the best at whatever you decide to do. It is what it is. This is the plan. So, yeah, that's when it clicked. I needed that incarceration in my life young. I'm thankful I got it out of my life young. But it's important for people to know that no matter what age you are, if that happens to you, that there's still no excuse to get out there. But to answer your question, oh, yeah, that's when I felt the Spirit of God come over me and tell me it's going to be okay. Because that could have been a time you go curl up. And think, because there's moments when you're incarcerated, you think even though they tell you get out on this day, you think you're never getting out. Anyone that's ever been there knows that. You get that feeling of they're going to forget about me. They say I'm getting out in 3 or 4 months, but these fools, and so that's where, I already didn't think they'd ever let me go for 12 months. Then the 8-piece on top of it, but that's where, man, I was ready. That night, I was in there watching Springer, playing our homemade chess, whooping people's butt, and just ready.
That was your oh shit moment.
And that was it.
I had mine. Even though that I got locked up and did all that stuff, like I still didn't have my oh shit moment.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out. Like I just thought that, I thought I was on the right path my entire life. I always thought. And I thought, man, you know what? Like you see me back then. I got married, and you know what I mean. I thought I knew how to love. I thought I knew all that stuff. My oh shit moment was when I had my daughter.
Yeah.
Like I think that most men, good men that are trying, like if you hold your daughter for the first time or your son or whatever, for mine was whenever my relationship that I have with my son is a lot different than you have with your daughter. You know what I mean? The moment that I held my daughter for the first time, like then I knew that was what love was. And that was my oh shit moment. That was my, okay, I have to be a better man because, I can't let bring this person into the world with me still being a dipshit. You know what I mean? With me still popping bottles or me still, just being in the streets or whatever, and I was working towards that, trying to be a better person. Yeah. But when I held my daughter for the first time, that was my transition to be a better man. But then I still couldn't figure out, man, like what is it that I'm missing? I was always missing something. And so my ex-mother-in-law, she had told me, she's like, you know what? Like I saw her for the first time. She's like, she had been praying for me this entire time. And the thing that I was missing, the key was God. Like that was my thing. I was like, you know what I mean? Because you have this guy told me one time, he's like, look, you have all the tools, but you don't know how to build the house. Like you got all the tools with you. You got everything, but now I'm going to show you and God's going to show you, we're going to show you how to use them and then to build that house. Because once you build that foundation, you build that house, and you know what I mean. That was what I was missing the entire time. You know what I mean. And that was my oh shit moment. But I feel like everybody has that. That click in their life where they become from, where they go, where they went through the storm with what we've been through, and then they have that change. Like where did that happen?
That's right.
So and I feel that a lot of people that they're that once they get that click, then they want to change, but you have to have, like we have to tell them they have to have that key thing. That's right. You got to put God in your life. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. And that's what's really going to help you. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I just feel that the kids, the men, the women out there that are going through all that stuff, like if you feel like you're missing something, you feel like you're on the right track, but you're not. You feel like you're just lacking something and you can't figure out what it is. If you don't have God in your life, just try it. Yeah. Just throw a little bit in there. Exactly. You know what I mean? Just just fill your tank up a little bit. Exactly. And see how far you go and see how much further in life it becomes, how much, see if it's easier,
Yeah. No, you're right.
And that was the time in my life that just really it was so fuzzy, and it just transitioned into just to where I am today. You know what I mean? And it's so cool to look back, like all the time. It was so funny because meeting you guys again, like running into you, it just brought up so much where you're where I feel that my success came from, looking back on the person who I used to be and go, oh man, that's crazy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No,
and
we get to tell our story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, in all reality, too, the more the oh shit moment that you're talking about, there's going to be a couple of those. I know.
Yeah.
I think for me, I can see two defining times like that. I told you guys about the younger time, the kid that was incarcerated, and keep in mind at that time I had I had a bad background. I have no education, high school dropout, and so I went on a climb for years from that moment, that first time. So I went on a climb. And that's where I ended up owning a mortgage company, and I ended up owning Vida Loca during that climb, right? So that oh shit turnaround, that propelled me a long way. Because let's see, I was probably 20 when that happened, the turn, and it was, I guess, 32 or 33 years old until I had another one. And that one was the divorce. That's an ocean moment. Because then I had to look back, like you said earlier. So even though I overcame, how are we doing on time, guys? Are we good? Y'all can just give me hand signals. We're at 34 minutes. We got to wrap this up. It's the Gottfrieds, brought to you in part by the Gottfrieds. So we're gonna bring this to a landing, and then we can we'll do it as much as we want. But with everything that I accomplished after that bad background. And that bad start, it was really easy for me to say, look at me, man, I own a restaurant. I'm a dropout. I was an inmate a long time ago, and that's all you could ever ask for, right? Look what I've done. My family's supposed to be happy just because I overcame it, right? Some other guy that owns a restaurant and maybe he didn't have my kind of background, he don't deserve as much credit as me. I deserve more. Like, I've done it all. I'm the world champion now, right? That was a mentality. So that first moment to where I clicked and turned nothing in the bad background into a business owner, then here I was on top of the world, in a big business, one of the most popular, if not the biggest hit in that town in that time period, and lost it all, turned into alcohol. See, and that's when the time I spent should have went straight to God. I already knew this. But that's where it's only normal, just like Adam and Eve did, is to hide from God sometimes a little bit. But it's okay. It's okay to not be okay, right? And so I went through a sad part. I went through the drunken part. And through that was that last, oh, crap moment of my life.
Yeah, but that was your, you learn from it. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Everything's a learning lesson. Because I always, I tell my son all the time, is that you're going to get to a point in your life that, people who know you,
yeah,
right? And people who think they know you, or they think they know you, they don't really know you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the people that don't know you are missing out. You know what I mean? Like, because when you become men like us, where we get to where we really want to put good back into the world, like you're going to have those haters and those people that think that they're going to go, oh, Jake, you know what I mean? Oh, I know Jason.
Yeah.
Jason's a dipshit.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
that guy. You're
Oh, they're going to love it when this gets posted.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Those
They're going to be like,
people
oh, yeah.
that you speak of are going to love it.
Yeah, and then they're going to sit there, and the cool thing is that because at the end of the day, we still need that.
Yeah.
Because that's what that's what perpetuates it into the next level. Because without a doubt in your mind who Jake Godfrey is.
Yeah.
And I know who Jason Keaton is.
Yeah.
Now, there's going to be people that are going to think that they know who we are, but they don't know, they don't see the change.
Yeah, and I invite them to get to know us better.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're good old folks that can help you out. You can maybe help us out too.
Yeah,
More
exactly.
people that get together.
And that's where you want to, where I feel that we like, where my purpose, where everything is really touching on that to get to like, I challenge people to get to know the real us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or the realness in people. You know what I mean? I really challenge people to do that.
No, and most of the people that you say, I'll close with this, that anyone that's out there hating, you hadn't even got to know yourself yet.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You need to go to a school that I call Me You. It's the University of Me, which I'm talking about you. So that's why you're going to call it Me You. But you have to learn about yourself first. You got to go to Me You. before you can do anything. I got to slide that in there. I've been waiting to slide that in for years. These boys know. The whole team in the background, all the producers right now are all high-fiving. You ought to see it. It's going down back there. Y'all calm it down back there in the studio. But, yeah, man, I appreciate we're going to wrap this up. We can do this as much as we want. So, anything that comes up that you want to share, you just hit me up. You come up to the studio anytime. But, I really appreciate the time, man. And we're just going to inspire people the most we can. And I challenge everybody out there to do something special for somebody today. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to have any money to help somebody. Do something special. Random act of kindness. Call somebody you haven't called in a while and tell them you love them. Because remember, at the end of the day, it's just a big love story you're in. One person gave his son, not a person, the Lord himself, God, gave his son to die so that we could live this life. But he wants you to do something with it, okay? So good seeing you, brother.
Yes, sir. Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Well, it's the Godfrieds out. Peace.
Godfried.
Godfried.